The unshaken invaders. In the cold silence of space, where stars flickered like the distant eyes of gods, the Zarzal dominion moved without opposition. For over 10,000 years, their reign had gone unchallenged. Species bent the knee before their fleets arrived. Civilizations erased their own cultures before suffering the alternative. They did not understand fear, for fear was extinct in their kind, bred out through millennia of selective evolution. Fearless, emotionless, invincible, the Zarzal had no word for retreat. The Zarzal Prime Council gathered in the thought chambers aboard the dreadnought Ul-Shakvor, parked above a smoldering planet that had resisted for precisely 8 minutes. They didn't need to speak aloud. Neural transmission bound them. 8 minds linked as one, pulses of electric command and analysis flowing seamlessly. The report was simple. New species. Orion Spur unregistered. Name, Homo sapiens. Designation, Sol 3. No resistance expected. Primitive technology. Population not worth assimilation, only eradication. The mistake. First contact. It began with a probe. The Zarzal scout drone entered human territory undetected and observed for 10 Earth days. The humans did not notice it until day 9. On day 10, they destroyed it with what appeared to be a magnetic railgun, an obsolete but surprisingly effective weapon. They even broadcast a message afterward. You watching? Good. Keep watching. We fight back. Amused if such a concept applied, the Council dispatched a minor fleet. 1 command ship, 3 destroyers, 10 drones. Just enough to remind these primates where they stood in the galactic hierarchy. Only, they never came back. The fleet was obliterated near Jupiter. Surveillance fragments revealed one disturbing truth. Humans had lured them into a trap. A single, crippled vessel with a false distress beacon. A magnetic minefield hidden within Jupiter's storms. A final detonation of what analysts believe to be a quantum fusion charge, self-triggered by the last human pilot. The pilot's face was caught in the wreckage, still smirking. Escalation. The Dominion could not tolerate disrespect. Protocol dictated immediate retaliation. Admiral Cornshack, undefeated for 4 centuries, assembled an armada of 20 ships and approached Sol system with surgical precision. The Earth was to be an example. Cornshack stood in his command sphere, peering through neural-enhanced optics at the blue-green world that had dared defy them. They will burn, he pulsed through the command net. He expected orbital defenses. He expected desperate pleas. What he did not expect was silence. No global broadcast. No attempt to parley. Instead, Earth's surface began to flicker with millions of strange, pulsing lights. Cities dimmed. Power grids shut down. Satellites turned away. Then, without warning, every screen aboard the Zarzal fleet lit up with a human face. An older man in a black coat with a scar across his face. He stared directly into the viewer. "You think you know war," he said in Galactic Standard, smiling. "You don't know us." Behind him, explosions lit up the skyline. "We don't fight like you. We hunt. We stalk. We terrorize. Welcome to hell, you alien bastards." The screen cut to black. And that's when the human missiles launched from underground. The opening blow. Orbital bombardments began immediately, but the humans had abandoned their cities. Decoys and dummies filled the buildings. Real civilians were already underground or relocated. The Zarzal found themselves firing into empty shells, while stealth drones retaliated from hidden launch bays. Directed energy weapons sliced through the underbellies of destroyers. Magnetic railguns, firing from disguised freighters, tore into command cruisers. One of the drones reported a battlefield on Antarctica where human soldiers had rigged entire glaciers with explosives. A fleet carrier shattered under the force of an avalanche. But the true horror began with Project Phantom. The birth of fear. The Zarzal elite unit, cold-blooded, implanted with emotion suppressors, entered what looked like a command bunker in the Rockies. It was a trap. Gas flooded the chamber, synthesized neurotoxins that didn't kill but altered cognition. The Zarzal began to hallucinate. They saw human shadows flickering on the walls, heard laughter echoing in the dark. One soldier, screaming in their own dialect, gouged out their neural implant. They had no word for the sensation. One muttered a phrase over and over before his mind fractured. They are chaos given form. They are death smiling. Observations. On board HFY, the Prime Council reviewed the footage. None spoke. Unpredictable, illogical, sacrificial. One finally pulsed. They possess an appetite for destruction. They weaponize themselves. Analysis. Fear-based combat tactics. Inefficient. Correction. Another interjected. Effective against us. They did not want to admit it aloud. But in the silence of their link, they all felt it. Something unfamiliar. An instinct buried deep in the code of survival. Was this apprehension? Rebellion of the machine. The Dominion attempted to deploy AI suppression units. Automated kill machines immune to fear, emotion, or distraction. Humanity hacked the mid-atmosphere. Reprogrammed Zarzal war drones landed on Earth and turned their weapons on their creators. Broadcasts blared across open channels. The humans mocked them with poetry, music, and history, things the Zarzal had long discarded. One repeated phrase played constantly on loop in Galactic Standard. We are the monsters under your bed. We are the children of war, and we've been waiting for something to fight. The shaken commander, Admiral Cornshack, stood alone in his biochamber, claws digging into the neural interface. His second-in-command had taken his own life, mumbling about the whispering blood. Even he, war-hardened, void-born, descendant of conquerors, felt the whisper. He had studied warfare, eradicated resistance, purged 1,000 cultures. But the humans, they laughed when they fought. They enjoyed it, and that terrified him more than any weapon. The lesson of fear. The Dominion didn't retreat. It never had. Even as the skies above Earth burned with shattered wreckage and the blackened husks of Zarzal warships fell like meteorites into oceans and cities, the command protocols held. More reinforcements were en route. A cleansing wave, they called it. Over 100 ships. No more surgical strikes. No more messages. Just annihilation. But Earth had already changed the battlefield, and fear was already growing in the hearts of the unshaken. Unconventional war. Deep in Earth's underground command facilities, General Elias Rourke watched satellite feeds as the Zarzal fleet regrouped beyond Mars. The man hadn't slept in days, yet his voice was steady. They're bringing their full force. No mercy this time. His advisors looked grim, but Rourke smiled. Good. Let's show them what mercy costs. Project Terror doctrine was in full motion now. Earth's militaries had abandoned conventional defense and pivoted to total psychological warfare. Every human base, every ship, every transmission was part of the illusion, confusing, terrorizing, drawing the Zarzal deeper. Ghosts of Mars. The first engagement came over Mars. The Zarzal had hoped to use its orbital position to launch strikes on Earth's inner colonies. Instead, they found ruins. The old Martian colony had been abandoned, deliberately, but left with trails of misleading heat signatures and false life signs. Zarzal ground troops landed on what they thought was a human stronghold. Then the sands moved. Hundreds of landmines buried in regolith exploded in synchronized waves, turning the dunes into a firestorm. Traps activated from orbit, weaponized laser satellites hidden among the Martian ring debris. Then came the horror. Human commandos in black suits, appearing from nowhere, their armor scorched and their movements like ghosts. They didn't speak. They just killed. A Zarzal soldier later recorded one line. They hunt us like predators. We are prey. Fracture in the fleet. Back in the fleet, Admiral Cornshack listened as distress call after distress call faded into static. One captain had begun transmitting strange signals, mimicking human languages. Another ship opened fire on its own drone squad, mistaking them for infiltrators. Fear, once unknown, was spreading like a virus. Worse, some lower-caste soldiers had started abandoning their posts, the first such occurrence in millennia. They called it the corruption of instinct. But the Dominion's darkest moment was still to come. Operation Mirrorfire. Earth's next move was unexpected, a visual weapon. Orbital mirrors, hidden in asteroid belts, were repositioned with AI precision to focus solar radiation onto Zarzal hulls. Their ships weren't designed for heat. They had evolved in the vacuum of frozen space. Fires, real, burning fires, spread aboard their vessels. Ships vented their own soldiers into the void to contain the blazes. Humans watched from hidden satellites and broadcast it all. The feed looped across frequencies, a human voice speaking softly in perfect Zarzal syntax. This is what fire feels like. Get used to it. Surrender of the unthinkable. On the mining world of Cordan, a forward Zarzal base signaled for help. When reinforcements arrived, they found it empty. The command post was scorched, walls covered in strange glyphs. A single phrase was carved repeatedly into the metal walls, in Zarzal and in English. You should never have come. One of the reinforcement ships opened the databanks of the abandoned base and found a recorded video. A human soldier, helmet off, face covered in war paint, looking directly into the lens. You feared nothing. Until now. We are fear. The video ended with footage of the soldier igniting a nuclear charge. The crumbling hierarchy. Back on the homeworld of Zarzal, the High Emissary received a report marked Priority Red, something that hadn't been used in centuries. It wasn't a call for victory. It wasn't a request for more troops. It was a message of surrender from an elite battalion stationed near Saturn's moons. The soldiers had transmitted it using human protocols, not even their own encryption. Their final transmission included 3 images: a child's drawing of Earth, a human skull with a flower in its mouth, and the words, "We want to live. They don't let us." The human counteroffensive. Humanity didn't stop. With Earth mostly secured underground and orbital hazards fully weaponized, they moved outward. Modified alien ships, stolen from downed Zarzal tech, were converted into infiltration crafts. Human operatives began attacking Zarzal supply chains, not just in Seoul, but across 3 neighboring sectors. The Galactic Council, long silenced by fear of Zarzal, began whispering again. Could these humans win? Could they actually bring down the Dominion? The broadcast that shook the stars. Then came the moment that changed everything. A live broadcast, hijacking every known galactic frequency. A human woman stood on what appeared to be the bridge of a downed Zarzal dreadnought. Her expression was calm, measured, cold. To the Dominion, she said, "You made a mistake. You taught us how to hate you. You showed us what you fear. And now we teach." The camera panned to show a captured Zarzal commander, shaking, twitching, mumbling incoherently. This is not surrender. This is the beginning. Terror is now a weapon. We wield it, and we name it humanity. The transmission ended. The Emperor's silence. In the obsidian chambers of the Zarzal throne world, the Emperor, who had not spoken aloud in 800 years, watched the broadcast 3 times. He did not issue a command, did not open a neural link. He simply looked down at his claws, and they trembled. Epilogue. Fear defined. The Dominion still exists. Ships still fly. Orders still circulate. But now, wherever their fleets move, there are hesitations. Sensors glitch. Crews double-check. Patrols report ghost signatures that vanish upon approach. Entire outposts go dark, found later filled with human propaganda and music playing over rusted speakers. The Zarzal gave names to all their conquests. But Earth? Earth gave them something else. A word they had never needed. A word they now whisper. Terror. And it had a human face.